Good morning. Here we are, Monday, May 11th, and we're at the start of the U.S. stock market. Just opened, so I'm going to go over what I've got. I'm already in Russell. I got in. We had a buy signal here, as you can see, and I went ahead and waited till it broke the 4-hour support and resistance level before I got in. So I got in basically on that green candle right there. If it'll let me do what I want to do here. And I'm not sure why it won't let me do this. There we go. That's the candle I got in, basically when it broke that 4-hour support and resistance level. So I got in light with 2 contracts, also in oil. We had a sell-off over here, and I waited till it broke the monthly support and resistance. I kind of caught it late. I wasn't watching. So I got in on this bounce right here. So that's what I'm in on. So I've been kind of sitting here, back and forth on it. Positive, negative. It went back down to test the low. So one thing I do have on right now is I know a couple people are still playing around with the ORB strategy. So it should have popped up, or do I have it shut off? I think I got it shut off. So I'm going to pop it up here on the Russell. So a few of us are trading Russell only on the indices. So I'm going to pop that up because I know a couple of the traders are playing around with the different times. Do you take the breakout, and it's always something. Everybody's wondering what is the best time to trade the orb. And, I've gone through with that, and we did a full test on it, forward test, back test. And it was over waiting the first 15 minutes of the U.S. stock market or waiting the first half hour. So if you look out on the internet, you'll see people doing all different kinds of times. Some are waiting the first 15 minutes out. So 9:30 to 9:45, they sit out. Okay, they mark the high at 9:45, the low of 9:30, the low and high between 9:30 and 9:45. And they'll mark that. And then they wait for a break of that, or even a break and a test of that level, a pullback. So you have to make up your own rules. There is no 100% rule to this. And each day it works out differently. It's never the same. It's not consistent. So you just have to make up your rules and decide on what you want to do. Do you want to wait the first 15 minutes? And then once it breaks a high or low, you're in. You just get in. When a candle closes above the high or a candle closes below the low, you get in. Or do you wait for it to break that level and then possibly come back to test that high or low, or test the mid-level? Some people even wait for it to come back to test the mid-level. They'll actually put an order. As you see our boxes pop up, we have the high and low marked here. They'll actually put an order in the middle. So if it comes up and breaks the high, closes above it, they won't get in, but they'll put an order midway, halfway back. They'd put a buy order if it broke the high. And then with that buy limit, it comes down and takes you in. So some people wait on that. I've gone over, if you want to not miss the trade, if it breaks a lower high, get in with 1 or 2 contracts, get in light, and then you can wait for the pullback. So if you're a trader that likes to wait for the pullback, but you see sometimes it breaks a lower high, and then you miss the move because it keeps going, well, then if you don't want to miss that, then just put in like 1 or 2 contracts. Go in lightly. So if you normally use 10 contracts, if a candle closes like here below the low, we would put 2 contracts on. Okay? And then if it pulls back, then we would stack on the other 8, okay, is how you would do that. And that way, if it just runs without you or just breaks and runs, never pulls back, you're still in. You're catching a smaller portion because you only have 2 contracts on, but you're still in the trade. I think we're going to get a big pullback here on oil. I'm watching oil break this right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close out oil, and I am going to put in 2 long. Now, this is against the trend, okay? So right now we've had a sell-off Two of my higher time frames are red down here, so I'm trading against the trend. So I'm going to go in lightly. Okay, I'm only doing that because it broke this high. And an air of caution would be that we have our monthly support and resistance level there. Okay, so right now over here on the ES or on Russell, I do have this set. So again, I got in here. We had a buy limit order here, or a buy signal here. I waited till it broke the 4-hour time frame, got in with 10 contracts, closed out 8 contracts, and I have 2 runners basically on. Okay, so I'm prepared to close that if we get a break of the low. So I've adjusted this orb indicator to just the first 3 minutes because I know one of the guys in the Discord is actually doing the first 3 minutes. So typically, like I said, you're either waiting the first 5 minutes, from 9:30 to 9:35, or 9:30 to 9:45, the first 15 minutes, or 9:30 to 10, which is the first half hour. So you're either waiting one of those time frames out and then you're getting in. Typically what you're going to do is dial it down to a smaller time frame. We're not going to watch this on a 15-minute time frame. So even if you're waiting the first 15 minutes, 9:30 to 9:45, and then you're marking the high and the low, you are not going to watch it and trade it on the 15-minute time frame. You're going to dial it down to like a 3-minute or a 1 minute. Okay, so here typically we're trading on a 3-minute time frame. I've got these dialed down to a 1 minute. So right now I've got that set up on just the first 3 minutes. So you'll just see 3 candles there. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, and then we're watching for it to break and close below the low or high. Now we have several different 4-hour time support resistance levels in there, so we'll have to watch how those play out. Now, if I get another buy signal, then we're going to hold this position long. If I get a break below, a candle break below this low area here, then, and really we have this candle right here. Let's pop these on. So we have this candle here, which is the low of that first 3 minutes. But then we have this candle here. Okay, we have a little lower low. So I would ultimately want to see that one broke as well. That's kind of pushing it down a little further. And we may take a loss on the oil trade. And again, this was a riskier trade over here, right? Because ultimately we're in a sell-off. So we've had sell signal over here. It moved short. All 3 time frames were lined up red. And then the middle and lower time frame, which is the 1 hour and 4 hour, time frames are still red. So that was a riskier trade. So we only go in with 2 contracts. If it's more risk or riskier for you to take the trade, you go in lightly. Go in with less contracts. We're not going to do 10 on that. Okay. Now, if we get a sell signal, which means that the 15-minute time frame will come back around and realign itself with the 1 hour and 4 hour, well, then at that point we'll close the long and then we'll just place an order to get in short. And we'll just take the loss, okay? I was only risking about $100. You'll see we're at 68, so that's not a big deal on this. So we have still nothing over here on Russell as it's moving sideways. Basically we have that, again, with that 4-hour support resistance level there. Now we have another buy signal off the indicator. So I'm going to hold my position long. Okay, I'm going to hold the runners. And again, I got in on a buy signal off the indicator. So we had a pullback down in here, and then we just had buy after buy after buy. And then after this buy right here, of course, it moved through the 4-hour time frame, came back. And really, if you look at what it's done, we had a buy signal here, and it pulled up and hit that 4-hour support resistance line right here, right? Hit it, respected it, pulled back, and then on the retest of it, went on through, came back and tested it as support. That's what they call, if you hear me refer to, and I need to close this out. So we've got a sell signal over here on oil, so we're going to close that and put in a short. And I should have went in with more contracts because it is aligning with our sell-off over here, but I did not change the order. So anyways, and that's what they call, you have resistance becoming support. So over here, as it pulled up, the line, that price level acted as resistance. And then over here, it acted as support just briefly as it popped up. So kind of the same thing over here, what it did, it went up, respected it briefly, and then broke it. Same thing, came down, respected it, pulled back, and then broke it. Over here, it just kind of went on through, just slowly, but went on through. It actually, if you look right here, kind of pulled up near it, hung out a little bit below it, and then broke through. So I expected it to pull back to that level. We kind of had a pullback in here and here, but nothing major. Here at the start of the U.S. stock market, I mean, you look at the moves, and we have some wicks showing up, right? So we've got a lot of wicks in there now over here. So big back and forth candles at 9:30. So still nothing as far as the orb breakout. And again, I'm only watching the first 3 minutes right here, okay? And again, that's we've got someone in the Discord that's doing that. So I wanted to see how that played out today. And it's sorry, I will be muting the mic here and there because I'm still getting over a cold or virus. So again, it's up to you what you want to do with this, how you want to trade it. You have to look back. You have to go back and back test, see what happens. During the back test that I did before, and it's all out there in the, I think there's a group of videos that are under the ORB playlist. I think it says ORB Strategy playlist here on YouTube, and you can look back at those. So there was like a 5-day test that was live. But ultimately then before that, we went back and tested. I kept a spreadsheet, and tested all 4 indices. And when I did that, ES actually played out the best. So S&P played out the best. Then it was NASDAQ. Then it was Dow and Russell, I believe, is the order. Or it was Russell Dow. I can't remember the last two. But basically, what we're looking at is a lot of times they would only go to certain levels. Okay, so let me get this. So basically, we have the ORB, strategy over here, the ORB indicator, and you'll have level 1, and it'll mark off level 2 when it gets time, level 3. So basically what would happen, though, is that's it right there. A lot of times on NASDAQ, that is it. It would go, after it broke, it would go to level 1. And that's it. All right? So it would go to level 1, and then it would turn back around. And it might just play out the rest of the day, just sideways, back and forth between the orb here and the low, if that's what it did. So a lot of times when NASDAQ broke, it would go to level 1 to 1.5. That was typically it. So on a typical trading day, when you would come and trade this on NASDAQ, it would go to 1 to 1.5. So what does that mean to you? Well, that means you don't expect it to go to 2 or 3 or level 4 or 5 or 6 or beyond. You just don't expect it because that's not what it's giving you on an average day. So on each day, again, typically on NASDAQ, doing that breakout, it would only go to level 1 or 1.5. So again, you're not expecting it to go to level 2, 3, 4. So what does that mean? Well, that means if I get in with 10 contracts, guess what? I'm going to close out 8 as it gets near level 1. That's my partial. That's where I'm going to close. That's my bread and butter for the day. And it looks like we might be getting a candle break right here. So we're going to see if this candle closes above that little 3-minute high. Now, again, I'm only using the first 3 minutes of it, okay? So we did get a close. So if you were going to take the trade, you could get in right now, okay? Now, if you know, well, wait a minute. I want to wait for it to pull back. If that's you, and we have to adjust this line out because we have a lower low over here. If you say, well, wait a minute, I want to wait for it to pull back. So again, there's different ways to do this. There are people that will come in right now and they'll come back. That is not the one I wanted. Sorry. They'll come in right now. Okay. And they're going to put an order right there. All right. I don't want to extend that at all. So we're just going to put like a price marker there. All right. So there are people that will come in and they will put a buy limit right there in the middle of that area. Okay. So if price pulls down and comes back to that level, they're in long. Okay. There's other people that will take the trade right when that candle closes above that high, which we had. Okay. So this candle right here, we had it close above. Some people will buy right then. Then the other people will wait for it to pull back and see if it tests the high or low. I'm going to move my stop over here on oil. I don't want to forget about it. Right now it's up 116. Typically on this account, I would go ahead on these smaller accounts and close out part of that trade, but we'll leave it on right now, the whole thing. Okay. I'm going to move my stop in there because I full well know that it may, come up here to test this low over here. Okay. So we may see it pull back to that level before moving on. And it could reverse. So I'm going to leave my stop there kind of out of the way. Not really getting much on that. Don't really care about it. It's just a trade I placed on here because I want at least two instruments on today. Okay, so let's get back to ES, or Russell, sorry. So again, on Russell, you either took the trade there on the break or you wait for it to pull back and test the top. This is a perfect pullback and bounce. I mean, this broke the high, which is from this candle here. Okay, and that's at 9:30. And then it came back, tested the top of that, tested that level as support. Okay, and you'll see all the time, this candle right here pulled up and tapped that high, didn't break it, so it tested it. And then a retest here on this candle broke through. And then since it didn't hold up as a resistance again here, it pulled back to test it as support. Perfect bounce, green candle entry. So that's typically what I used to look for on entries is, you get a break of a level, you get it to pull back to test the level, and you wait for a green candle in this case because we're looking to go long. If we're looking to go long, we're only going on green candles, okay? If we're looking to go short, we're going to wait for a red signal candle. So we're always waiting on that confirmation. So this green candle here was confirmation that it was bouncing, okay? So that one right there is basically our confirmation candle that it was bouncing on that high. Okay, so again, we had a push up to touch it, so it tested it. On the retest, it broke it, closed above it, so then it pulls back to test it as support. Okay, we're not going to take it right on that red candle. I know you look back now and you go, man, I would have rather taken it on that red candle when it closed because you're getting in at a better price. Yes. However, the next candle could have been red and pulled back even further. So you'd have been sitting in the negative for a while. Okay, so we wait for a green signal candle. That's just the rules. So you stick to the rules and you do that. Right now, we're approached level 1. So again, if I was getting in that and we would have got in with that on 10 contracts, okay, then right now we would have closed out 8. So we would have done that automatically though. So what we would have done, of course, is come in and put a right there, okay, we would have put a sell limit. So you'd have put on 10 contracts and then up here put on an 8 contract sell limit. And then what happens is 8 or 9. And then what happens is as it pulls up, it would have closed out 8 of your contracts or 9 of your contracts, forcing you to take profit. Okay. You want to automate this as much as you can. The only way to automate it is to do that. If you put on 10 contracts here and you wait for it to get to level 1 and then you close out manually, have you automated it? No. You didn't automate the close of your partial. Okay? Why do we close partial? We close partial to force us to take profit for the day. Okay? And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Let's close out 8 or 9 of those 10. That's our daily bread. That's what we want to see per trade. Do that twice a day. That's typically all you need to make anywhere from, 100 per trade, 200 per trade to make your daily goal. I always go back to if you're making $20 an hour, working 8 hours a day, you're only making $160, in a day for 8 hours work. And this is a lot easier, and you don't have to sit here all day, but you need to take profit. If I'm sitting here for 8 hours of the day, which we don't, we only like to sit here from about 8 in the morning, to noon, and then we go about our day, or even break before that, 11:30. So it depends on how things are moving. I'm going to mark this low over here in oil because I'm looking for this one to be broke. We'll see if that gets broke there. So that would be our low to break. So if it breaks that, if it breaks this low over here in oil, then I will go ahead and move my stop down. So again, we want to force ourselves to take profit. And again, the one way to do that is, again, put on your 10 contracts. It moves up to level 1. You close out 8 or 9. Okay, those are typically what I close out. Typically for me, it's 10 and 9, close out 9. But you can close out 8 here. And then when it gets to level 2, okay, when it gets to level 2, which just popped up, you would actually close out one more. So you'd put on 10, close out 8 here, close out one more here, and you're trailing your stop the whole way. So right now, if I would have got in this, okay, so if I would have got in on that candle, that bounce, with 10 contracts, we would have put an 8 contract sell limit, 8 or 9, to close, and you would move your stop up, okay? And notice it never pulled back. So there are people, again, that trade this, and they wait for it to pull back to the mid level, halfway through the box. Now, I'm kind of aggressive on this because, again, we're only looking at the first 3 minutes here is all we're looking for. But what they'll do is they'll wait 15 minutes, half an hour, and they're looking for it to pull back in the middle of the box, okay? We haven't even gotten to that point yet. Or yes, we have. We're almost to 10 o'clock. So right now it's just been up and up and up and up. So we'll see what it does at 10. We'll see if we get a turnaround. But right now I'm going to move my stop up some. I'm up, 182? So I'll move my stop up under here, under this, where this bounce was. And we'll see what that. And ultimately then, here we have a 4-hour support and resistance level. I would like to have seen a better test of that. We kind of had it here. The candles came up, hit level 1. We have, 2 doji candles here. Doji, reverse hammer. They're also called reverse hammer because they're upside down. So whatever you want to call them. We had 2 of those, which formed a tweezer tops. Okay. And that typically symbolizes candle pattern that you would short off of, or it could pull back off of. So I expected we'd see a pullback. We really didn't. We got a green candle. Now, that being said, when you're watching candle patterns, they hold more truth to them if they're on a higher time frame, like a 15-minute time frame, 4-hour time frame, 1-hour time frame. Okay, on a 3-minute, 1 minute, and below, they don't hold a lot of strength in the candle pattern, okay? So you can notice them and just know that, and that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a deeper pullback than that. We just didn't get it because, again, we're on a 1-minute time frame. So it's kind of Mickey Mousing around here with that level. So, again, we would have had a sell limit on, and you might have even pulled your stop to break even. And I'm going to pull this up here and put it as a stop marker. So, again, you would have got in either here when this candle broke and closed above the high, or you would have got in here after it pulled back and bounced, gave you the green signal candle, that would be your stop. Okay? If you move to break even. All right, so let's put a stop marker on there. So if you're the type of trader that, it moves up, it hit level 1, and you closed out 8 or 9 contracts, you put on 10. I don't care what you put on. You could have put on 4 and closed out 3. You could have put on 6 and closed out 5. Whatever it is, okay, that's up to you and your account size and what you feel comfortable with, how many contracts trading. Other than that, what are you doing with your stop? Are you moving your stop to break even or halfway? Okay, my stop was down here, let's say. You moved it, you got in there. Your stop was down either on the opposite side or halfway. We experimented with that too and tested it. So typically when someone gets in on that, on the ORB strategy, their stop is on the opposite side of the box. Other people use the middle. I said that before. If you don't want to use the opposite side because that's too far, then you could test it with the middle of the box and use that as your stop. And then again, it hit level 1, you closed out partial, and you either leave your stop where it is, you can adjust it up to quarter stop. Okay, it's a quarter of the way back from where you got it, or you're adjusting it to break even. Okay, which would be here. So if you're adjusting it to break even, that's where it is. So I'm going to leave it there just to show you that. So again, good trade on it so far. I think this is perfect over here, what we had today. I have not tested it on the 3-minute time frame, or the first 3 minutes. This is the first one. First time I've looked at this of the first 3-minute time frame, or 3 candles. And blocking those out. So I think it did perfect today. We had the first 3 candles there, and it pulled below this 4-hour support resistance level and kind of hung out. Notice how many, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles where they closed below the 4-hour time frame. So about 6 minutes, and then it broke back through and then just continued to climb after that. So I think today was perfect on it. I don't know if that's going to hold up, long term, but it does give you a smaller stop. Because notice we are almost to 10 o'clock right now. So if you were waiting the first half hour, you're still waiting. You're not in yet. If you're waiting the first half hour of the stock market to open and go by, well, then you're just now getting ready to, sorry guys, I'm looking, my lights are flickering for something. I'm hoping the computer doesn't go out. So you're waiting for the first half hour. If you're waiting from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., then you're still not in. And right now you would actually be marking this as your low from 9:30. Okay. So that would be your low. Let me just change this. All right, so that would be your low. And then we would mark the high if you're waiting the first half hour. And this is your high right here. Okay. So if you're waiting that first half hour, and we're taking out of oil as it pulled back. Okay. I was looking at structure change, and it pulled back, and we were looking at it climbing back up, and it finally broke. So we're not going to do anything with oil for a while. And I don't know if I will the rest of the day. So let's just close that out and watch this. So right now on Russell, and this is kind of weird because the indicator, if you set this back to automatic, because it opens up the take profit levels, if you have them turned on and it puts the levels 1 and 2 on there, it kind of scrunches your screen down. The only way to change that is to manually adjust your screen like over here. And then you can, pull it around, or you have to shut these off. So I like leaving them on. So right now we're still in it, up 180. I could close out 1. I was kind of hoping it would hit 200, and then I would close out 1. So I'm going to get ready to close 1 out. So overall for me, it was a great trade. But again, I got him back here. Okay, I got in on a buy signal before the U.S. stock market. So if I got in here, I'd only be up about half of where I am. So here's where I got in. Here's where we would have got in on the break of the high. And then we're up about twice that. So I'd still be up almost 100. I'd be up about $80, $85 on this trade if I would have got in here on the runners, if I would have left 2 runners on and got in here. So 100 of that is from getting in back here on the buy signal. So again, we'll look at both. So if you're waiting the first half hour, this is what you're waiting on. Let's do this. And guys, this is what I've done. I've gone through and checked this. Here's the first 15 minutes. So the first 15 minutes, we would have the low here, okay? And the high on the first 15 minutes would be here, that candle. That's the 945 candle right there, okay? So if you want to trade it and wait the first 15 minutes, let the stock market kind of play out a little bit, 930 to 945, and then you want to look for your entry. Well, today would have been okay for you because this would have been your high. This would have been your low still. This is the low from the 3-minute or the first half hour or the first 15 minutes. This would be the high of the first 15 minutes. And then it breaks over here. That would be your entry candle. Okay? Now, your level 1 would be up in here around this 4-hour mark if I adjusted this to the first 15 minutes. Let's pop that on there. So I've got it set at 843, which is basically, or 833, which is 933. So we're going to change it to 45. Okay? And that'll move the box over. So see how now it's showing a break there. Is that the 45 candle? Yeah. So it's actually showing a break at the same area if you had adjusted to the 43 or 45, sorry. And your profit level is the same area. So I'm going to change it back to 33. This is not my indicator. This is a Lux Algo one. Lux Algo Orb and Targets. That's what it's called. It's a great indicator. I like it. You can have it turned historical, turned on for it, which if you do historical, it's going to go back. See how it popped up this one from the day before? That's how you can back test. You can turn on historical data, go back, scroll your chart back, and back test it. So I do like the indicator. It's easy, simple. You can just flip it on. I don't keep it on my chart, but I flipped it on for today. All right. And I don't know if I hit 200 in there. I may have while I was sitting here talking. So it is just hanging out between those two 4-hour levels. We're getting a little pullback. So is it going to pull back and test this level? Is this going to hold up as it's pulling back in here? So I don't know if that 4 hours is going to hold. Okay, is it going to do this and we get a bounce? Or is it going to pull deeper? So is it going to pull deeper and test this area over here? You know, this little high right here. Or is it going to pull even deeper and test that? So it's pulling back to one of those levels. Okay. Which one? We don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Or is it going to pull again in here? Or is it going to pull all the way back here? That would be even deeper. I'm out by then. But I could see it, okay? I could see it cruising all the way back down here to the middle of the box, testing this highs in here, where all those wicks are. That 4 hour time frame. So which 4-hour time frame is it going to turn at? We've got 3 back here. And we'll be taking out in here afterwards. Now, if you were moving your stop to break even, again, you'd have it right there. I kind of give mine a little more room. And I want to leave it back below this trend line here, or trade line. So we'll see what it does. Again, it's going to bounce somewhere, or we would hope it would. But if it doesn't, let's say it does not bounce. Okay, so you got in when the candle closed above the high, or you got in after it pulled back to test it and you got your green signal candle. Boom, you get in there. That's a perfect setup right there. Okay, for me, it goes along with our higher time frames, right? Because down in here, we have our higher time frames. All right. So on that indicator, the power trade indicator, right now I've got it on the 5, 15, and 60 because I'm on the 1 minute time frame. So if I'm down on a 1 minute time frame, I will change these. If I'm on a 3 minute time frame, I'll leave it 15, 60, and the 240, 4 hour. But if I'm day trading, more scalping, want to get in and out, it's going to be a lower time frame. So if we look at the bottom, we have the 2 higher time frames, the 15 minute and the 1 hour, actually still green. Okay, so we're going to hold our position. So that keeps us in our position. So you don't panic and you're not jumping out, because we're saying, okay, on 2 of the higher time frames, we're still green. We're still going to hold our position, and we're still long right now. Okay? And you hold through the pullbacks. Once all 3 over here, we had 2 of them turn red. Now, once all 3 of them turn red, then you're switching your bias for the day or for that time being. So we don't want to stay biased overall all day long, because we're going to miss out on opportunities to get in the trade if we do. So there it looks like we're getting a bounce off this 4 hour, right? It pulled back down to that 4 hour support resistance level. Those are off our swing highs and lows on the 4 hour time frame. And then it looks like it might be giving us that bounce. Looks like we might be getting a buy signal. We have to wait for this candle to close to see if the buy signal holds. Right now, you'll see it flipping back and forth. And we got what? We still got a little less than a minute left to this candle. So we'll see if the buy signal sticks. So we do have a new candle. So right now, the buy signal held, which is good for us. It does not mean it won't pull back deeper. Okay, it just means that for that one candle, it turned back green. So we're watching the indicator down here on the bottom. The second dot, okay, so we're looking at the dots from the right to the left here, and the one right now is green, but it was red a second ago. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see. But this one next to it, the second one in, is green, and that's why we got the buy signal. It came back around to realign and turn green along with the higher 2 time frames. So that's good for us. Okay, we want to see this one stay green. There it printed green, and then we're going to wait and see this one. So we really need it to break that high. So if you were waiting the first half hour of the stock market, don't forget, if you're waiting out from 9:30 to 10, you're waiting on that to be broken right there. And then the low's still the same, okay? Whether you're waiting, I don't know why sometimes it won't let me grab those tools. There we go. That's what I'm doing. It's attaching to the candle, sorry. So the low is the same for all 3. Whether you wait the first 3 minutes like we did today, that's the low. Okay? If you wait the first 15 minutes, that's the low. If you wait the first half hour of the U.S. stock market, which would be 9:30 to 10, 10 being up here, this is your high. Well, we're waiting Those people are waiting right now. They're waiting for it to break the high. And typically, again, what they want to see is you want to see it break the high, close above it, and then some sort of pullback. And again, some people wait for halfway. Halfway between the two is right about in here somewhere. But we still don't have a break of the high yet. And then sometimes you're sitting out and missing the whole thing. So again, with this type of strategy, it is one of those things where I can give you the rules. You can go out on the internet and you can look. There's tons of videos on the ORB strategy. There's also a group that they trade the 8 a.m. They look at 8 a.m. and take that as the open. And it's the first 15 minutes. So it's from 8 a.m. to 8:15. They mark the high and the low, and they're waiting for it to break. And yet, when people tell them, well, that's the ORB strategy, the guy literally says, no, this is not the ORB strategy. So, news for him it is, because he's marking 8 a.m. to 8:15 a.m., so he's marking that range. That's his opening range, 8 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. There's a high he marks. There's a low he marks. So he is marking a 15-minute range, and then he's waiting on a break of that. Okay, so it's still an ORB strategy, opening range break. He's just marking his range from 8 a.m. to 8:15. We used to do it on the London session, on the British pound and the euro. And that would be at 3 in the morning, a.m. Eastern. So there it looks like it is pulling through. We had kind of a retest of this 4-hour mark right there. Okay. So it pulled back, tested that 4-hour support and resistance level, held up because it bounced. It just made a last-ditch effort here. We had a candle wick down, last-ditch effort to test it again, and it pulled up. So it looks like we're getting that to hold. This is the type of thought process that should be going through your mind every candle. You know, and I get people saying, man, you're on a 1-minute time frame or 15-second. You know, I'll drop down to a 15-second time frame and trade. And when people think of that, when they first think of that, they're like, man, that 15-second, that's too fast. How do you trade that? Well, that's typically because they're watching a 3-minute candle or even a 1-minute candle or a 15-minute. If you're watching a 15-minute candle, yes, dropping to a 15-second time frame is going to be very fast for you. I'm typically on a 3-minute and possibly dropping to a 1-minute or 15-second, especially around news time. If you sit there and count 15 seconds for each candle and just count it, it's going to go by slow. Trust me. If you literally sit there and count, and we start, and when the next candle starts, and we wait out 15 seconds, and I'll do it. Well, I'm not going to count it. New candle just started. Okay, there was 15 seconds of silence. And then that you would have another 15-second candle. So again, it seems like it's super fast. I don't recommend anyone going to a 5-second. Nothing below a 15-second. The reason why we would go to a 15-second is to see the moves, to see the swings. And today's a good day where on a 1-minute we're seeing the swings. So we don't really need to go to a 15-second time frame. Okay. So we had that break the high. So if you were the trader that said, I want to wait out the first half hour, I don't even want to look at my computer. You don't even come to your computer till 10 o'clock. okay, or 5 minutes till 10 a.m., then you're just now looking at getting in a trade. So again, if you're the type of trader that says, I want to wait the first half hour of the U.S. stock market open. Let's let half hour go by, 30 minutes go by. Let's let the market do what it wants to do, kind of settle in, and then I'm going to look to get in a trade. Well, then you're looking at, again, this to be your low from back here, and then this to be your high over here. Okay, that 10 o'clock. Let me move it over. It'd be that candle right there. So you're looking at this wick of this candle right here. There's your high, and you're marking that. And that's your high and low. Okay. Low back here, high up here. And you're waiting for it to break. Then you're just now getting in. And it's not bad. Where are we at? We're at 17 after. And 2 minutes have gone by. So right, there's your 2 minute mark. So we're at 17 after. So you would have waited 15 minutes to get in. You'd have got in on that green candle right there. Okay. That would be your entry. So I'm just trying to show you the different time frames that you can get in. And again, there is no set 100%. This works every time. You're not going to get it on any strategy. You will never get, hey, this strategy works 100% of the time. There is no golden trade strategy. There's no strategy that works 100% of the time. It's how do you manage your trade? It's all up to you. It's 100% the way you get into a trade, the way you manage your stop, the way you close partials to make sure that you're taking profit every day. For me, I'm not going to sit here. You know, I started this about 9:30. It is 10:16. So we're almost coming up on an hour. And I don't want to sit here for an hour and not make a profit, or sit here for 3 hours and not make a profit. I used to do that when I started. I used to trade the 15-minute time frame getting into a trade. I would get into a trade, something would set up, and then watch it. I'd be in the positive, a couple $100, and it would pull back and stop me out. I wasn't closing partials. That's when I said, hey, if I could I'm up $200, let's close out half that. Let's lock in 100 per trade or 150 per trade. Let's move our stop to break even. Okay. Then if it pulls back, you're protected. So those are the key elements that make you successful. Okay. It's not, the strategy is only part of it. The strategy is not the complete answer to make you a successful trader at all. It is not the strategy. The strategy is part of it. The other is how you manage your trade once you're in the trade. Getting in a trade's easy. Okay? We know here with the Power Trade Pro indicator, I get a buy signal, I'm going to buy. That's easy. I'm going to buy with 10 contracts. Boom, I'm in. Over here, we had a buy signal, right? I want to buy with 10 contracts. Boom, you're in. And you're in profit, even if you took this buy signal. We had a buy signal here. We had 3 buy signals here. Okay? So we had one before the U.S. stock market opened. That's the one I got in. That was around 9 o'clock. Okay? That's because I start looking at 7:30 in the morning. We had a buy signal here. We had a buy signal here. So U.S. stock market opened here. We had 2 buy signals off the Power Trade Pro indicator. Boom, buy there, buy there. You're in profit. Any one of these buy signals, guess what? You're in profit. Now, are you in profit with your stop where it originally was? Well, I would hope not. I would hope you at least closed partial. So now that we've moved to level 2, one thing I want to do is I would mark, obviously, when this came up and broke the high here, we're always going to mark our highs. We're always going to mark highs and lows. So when it came up and broke that, it kind of pulled back a little bit here. So basically it kind of went up to that 4-hour support resistance level, pulled back a little bit, came back. This candle closed right there. This candle hesitated to even, it kind of wicked up above, but hesitated to break it. And then this candle finally opened right at it and moved above. So it looks like we have a good break of that 4-hour support resistance level. Again, that's you looking every minute you're watching this, and you're looking and you're going, what is this telling me? What is it doing? What's it telling me? What are these candles right here telling me about this 4-hour support resistance level? Okay. What was this telling me over here as it pulled back and went to that 4-hour support resistance level? But then we start printing green candles again. This candle wicked to the 4-hour support resistance level, wicked down to it. But then next candle was green. What is that telling you? Okay. It's telling you that that level's tested and respected as support over here. So we expect for that to hold up. So my stop is safe, I would expect. Okay. Moving it, but keeping it below that 4-hour. So this is how you're reading the chart. You're adjusting your stop. You're doing what you're supposed to. Now I'm up 242, 245 on the runners. So what I'm going to do is I don't know if we want to close. I said if it was over 200, we'd want to close. So since we hit profit level 2, let's go ahead and close one of those out. So I need to sell one off. Okay, now we have one on. So we're at 121. So we locked in about 120 by closing that. And then I need to adjust this here. And we adjust our stop. So now our stop matches. So we locked in about $120 by closing out one. Okay. Closed out some earlier. Closed out one here since we hit profit level 2 off this. Okay, off the orb here. And the stop is moved up to a decent level that I would expect that if it pulls back, our stop is safe. Now, is it safe? I don't know. It may not be. It may just all of a sudden start dropping and go through a stop and take us out. I'm okay with that. I've already locked in profit. I've already locked in my daily goal. For me, it's $500 a day. Just take $500 a day, multiply it by 20 days. What do you have? Okay. That's for me. I want $500 per day. And I've already locked that in today. All right. And that's even with that one loss on oil. So right now, I still have one runner on. We've got over half this probably. Yeah. Our stop is over halfway up to where the price is. So it says 115. So we've got about $60 left to lock in here, or already locked in where our stop is. So if it pulls back, you should be okay with that. I'm okay giving up potentially $50 here. Okay. If it pulls all the way back and takes me out, I'm okay with that. I'm okay giving up the $50 and only getting 60. And you say, wow, why? Why wouldn't you close it all out now? Well, I don't want to close it all out now because what if it keeps climbing? Okay. I'm already in. I'm already in a good trade. If it keeps climbing, I'm still in. I just manage my stop to stay in. If it pulls back and stops me out, that's when a lot of traders' minds will go, man, I should have closed. I knew I should have closed. Well, no, you didn't. You really did not know that you should have closed. Okay. So what happens is don't let your mind get involved with that. Oh, I should have done this, because what happens is next time. So let's say it pulls all the way back and takes me out. So this thing comes all the way back, takes me out, and I lose $50 back. Okay, I only get 60 on the runner. Don't kick yourself. You just be okay with it and move on. Because here's what happens. You'll sit there and say to yourself, because I've been through all this when I first started. You sit there and say to yourself, man, I knew it. Knew I should have closed. While it was up there, level 2, I just knew I should have closed. And next time I will. And next time you'll be in the same situation. Let's say exact same situation tomorrow. So let's say today it goes back and takes you out. You're like, man, I knew it. Next time I'm going to close. And then tomorrow it does this, let's say the exact same move, and you hit level 2 and you just close it all out. And then it keeps going to level 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to say to yourself, Well, first of all, you're going to chase it and probably try and jump back in, okay, and potentially take a loss. So you don't want to chase it. If you're in a good trade, stay in a good trade. Let your winners run, close your losers early, okay? So because, again, tomorrow, same moves, you hit level 2 and you say, I'm just going to close it all now because of what happened yesterday, okay? So what happened today, tomorrow you're saying, I'm going to close it all. And you close all and you get the extra $50. And then it breaks level 2 and keeps going. Well, then you're kicking yourself then tomorrow saying, man, I just knew it. I knew I should have just kept it on and not closed it. And then what happens is you end up adjusting that every day or once a week, twice a week. You end up changing your rules, okay? And you'll do it on a daily basis or a trade-by-trade basis. So you'll get into that and your mind will make you do things like that. So you have to set these rules up. You have to stick to them 100%. And you have to adjust your trade accordingly. And because if not, you won't be successful long term. All right. So let's look at the candles. We had it pull back. This red candle right here, what did it do? It came down to hit that 4-hour support resistance. So again, we had this move up that hit the 4-hour level, kind of bounced back a little bit, took another run, hung out below it, stopped below it, opened and closed below it, this red candle. This candle opened on the 4-hour and pulled through. After it hit level 2, hung out for a little bit, it pulled down to the 4-hour support resistance level. Okay? Green candle bounce. That's great for us. We're saying, okay, that's great. So far, it looks like it's holding up. We did have this candle here, this green one, go above, this line. But basically, we're looking at this high. We need this high to break right here. So we're looking for that high to be broken. So what we're thinking is, okay, can we move our stop? Where should we move our stop? Where do you think's a good level to move the stop? Okay. Do we move it clear up here and call it a day and say, I'm going to put it here and just call it a day? It's aggressive, right? We're up $132 on the one runner. So if I move it up there, we probably got 100 locked in at least. Okay. So is that not a good runner? Yeah. $100 on one runner? That's good. And you guys know that my runners, that's my bonus for the week. Okay. Do we move it? We were back here. Do we move it just up in the middle here between like the high of these candles here, and the low here? Do we move it kind of in the middle, saying, well, if it pulls back, we look for this to protect us? Okay. Or do we move it even closer than that? So where do you move this stop? I'm going to keep mine right here below these highs right here. Now they're wicks, so I know that the price may just plow through that. We'll see what happens here. Right now I'd be out if I would have moved my stop under that 4-hour support resistance level. So the tighter you move it, the quicker you're going to be stopped out. We'll see if we get a bounce. There's some people that are just now looking at getting in to off the orb breakout, and I'll go over that. So if you were the trader that says, I want to wait the first half hour of the New York Stock Exchange open, okay, then it is 9. We'll change that to 9 o'clock. There's what it looks like for you. Okay. So again, I'm showing you the different options. Now we're already in profit. Okay. We just waited the first 3 minutes. It pulled down below, finally broke over here. We got in and you're in profit. So you hit profit. So the people that are waiting the first half hour, so they're waiting from this line right here is 9:30 a.m. and then we have 10 o'clock over here. Okay. So they're waiting on the 10 o'clock to break. This candle right here would have been an entry for some people. Other people wait for it to pull back, move some and pull back down to test the high that was broken. And they're just now looking at getting in. Okay. Level 1 is way up here. So that's your level 1 on a 10 o'clock. We're taking out right there. All right. I can't remember what it was. I think it was around 100. So I'm out right now. And again, for those people looking at the 10 o'clock, they're just now looking at getting in. They may have entered here. They may have entered, which they didn't ever get to profit level 1. Okay. Because it's real wide down here. We had that nice steady move up that we got in on where they're looking for it to break that level and test that level. So right now it's pulled back. And I mentioned that. I mentioned people putting in a buy limit order down here halfway through the box, waiting on it to pull back and test these levels. And then they're in long. Okay. So some, and again, this is your rules. You have to decide. Do you take it on a candle break and close above? Do you wait for a pullback or a red candle like here, green candle, boom, you're in? Or do you wait for it to go up a little bit and come back to pull back and then you're in on that green candle? Or do you wait for it to pull back to the middle of the box? These are decisions you have to make. So you can write all those down. And then you can go back and back test this, look at it, and see what it looks like, and then make that decision. Okay? Now, again, for us, we also have 4-hour support resistance levels on our chart. Okay? So that plays in on our trading. So right now, it pulled back through this one, kind of tested a little on that wick, and then dropped back down to this one. So that may hold up. It may have just had that deeper pullback. But we're already out. We're already done for the day, or at least I am. So again, I hope you enjoyed this. So it is up to you whether you wait the first 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Typically I've seen people do a 5-minute, the 15.5 hour. Most people, if you look across the internet and the videos out there on YouTube, most people are waiting either the first 15 minutes of the stock market or the first half hour. That's for the general masses, waiting the first 15 minutes or the first half hour. We tested it both ways. They both work. They work as well as they work. It just depends on the moves for the day. It's up to you to kind of help it along. Again, if you put on 10 contracts or 4, let's say you're just using 4, put on 4 contracts, it moves to profit level 1, close out 3. Okay, leave 1 runner on. And you can decide if you want to move your stop, from across the other side of the orb to the midway point, or if you want to move your stop to a break-even level, like here. So if your stop's originally on the other side and you get in long here, when it moves up to profit level 1 and you close out 3 of your 4 contracts or 9 of your 10, then are you the type trader that moves your stop? Oops, wrong line. Moves your stop to the halfway point, halfway to break even? Do you move your stop to break even? Today you look at it and go, and that's something you don't want to get caught up in. You want to analyze it, keep track of it, run a spreadsheet, because you don't want to say, well, look, today I would have moved my stop to break even, which would be there. Okay. You'd just now be taken out if you didn't move your stop anymore. And yes, it worked out. Then tomorrow you'd see that it pulled deeper. Say you got in here and it pulled deeper and it pulled back in here and then went to profit level 2, 3, 4. And then tomorrow you'd be saying, you pulled to break even like you did today, and it stopped you out, went a little deeper, but then went to profit level 2, 3, 4. Well, then at that point, again, you're sitting there going, so let's say it pulled a little deeper, stopped you out, and then went way up here, profit level 3.5. Then tomorrow you're saying, man, I wish I would have only moved my stop to the halfway point. Okay. Well, then the next day it does what it did today. And you're saying, well, I should have just moved it to break even. So you're going to have to look back historically and say to yourself, if I do this. Sorry, guys. And just look at those and decide what is best for you and what is best for your trade management. There is nothing wrong with moving your stop to break even, okay? Because if you put in 4 contracts and close out 3 when it hits profit level 1 and move your stop to break even, well, now you're at a 0 risk trade and it stops you out. You don't lose anything against your gains. Perfect. There's also nothing wrong with moving your stop to the halfway point, okay? And it moves to profit level 1 and you close out 3 of the 4. It stops you out. You're going to lose, whatever it may be, quarter stop, half stop, but you're going to lose a little bit on 1 contract against the 3 contracts you lock profit in. There is nothing wrong with that either, because that's your trade strategy. Okay? So it's totally up to you. You have to decide how to manage your trades. There's nothing wrong with either. Again, you get in the trade, goes to profit level 1, you close out 3 of the 4 contracts, move your stop to break even, you get stopped out, you don't lose anything against your 3 contracts profit. Or, again, you get in the trade and it moves to profit level 1, you close out 3 of the 4 contracts, you move your stop up some, you give it a little room, comes back and stops you out. You lose a little bit back on 1 contract against the 3 contracts you've locked in. Again, nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with either of those. They're both perfect plans, and that's just it. They are both plans. That's your trade plan, the part of your trade plan, and that's the way you're going to manage your trade by closing partial, moving your stop, then you stick to your guns. You do that every time, okay? So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for checking out the video, and I will see you next time.